All right, what is going on, everybody? It is Monday. It's just before 8 a.m. here. Cobra Trading back for another Monday Bitcoin analysis video. We're about a day and a half away from the halving. It happens at about, I believe it's 4 a.m. Wednesday morning. So like maybe 2 days, just before 2 days. So getting really close to the halving, right? And taking a look at this weekly chart, I wanted to get into some fib analysis and some price action today, just to kind of see where we are, where we might go, and how that lines up with Ichimoku Cloud and other forms of analysis with the indicators I use and stuff like that. So taking a look at this weekly chart, we did end up having a bearish close last week. This is the first bearish candle that we've had in about 2 months. So finally got some bearish volume coming into the market, and if we take a look at all of our price levels and stuff, I do this at the beginning of every video. We rejected really hard off of this lower high range line, as well as our descending channel. On the lower time frames, we actually did exactly what I predicted we would do, which was have a throw over of this top channel line and then come back into the channel. So that did end up happening, and we did end up coming down and touching about 8,100. I would still like to see about 8,000 get touched if we're going to see like a really strong bullish continuation and a solid breakout of this downwards channel. So all things considered, I think that the price action right now on the weekly chart, it still doesn't look very super bearish to me, but definitely in the short term, with the halving coming up and the uncertainty surrounding that, I definitely have a bearish bias in terms of what happens, what's happened with previous halvings and stuff like that. This lower high range line, once this next candle opened up yesterday, this was pretty much where all hell broke loose. So we closed, we opened up, and, we were in this level of known resistance here, and we didn't have very much support. There wasn't very much demand. We had a lot of bearish volume coming into the market here, and we just tanked. We just basically fell off a cliff. We saw a massive liquidation of longs. I think about something like 300 million longs were liquidated in basically one move here. And it ended up being pretty serious, all things considered. So if we take a look at our fib measurements here, if we take a look at our fib measurements on a daily chart, we haven't really retraced very far. We actually didn't even touch the 382. But what I find very interesting about these levels is that if you notice here, measuring from our bottom to our top, our 382 level lines up exactly with this mid-range of this, of all these channel lines that I have drawn. It ends up landing right on top of a major level of support, which is about $8,000, which is pretty much where I'm aiming for us to go. If we don't make a very strong comeback here at and before the halving in the next couple days, I definitely think that we're going to see further downside. So another thing I find very interesting about this is this lower range here, right in between these two levels of support for our lower range, is actually our golden pocket, which is pretty interesting. And our 0.5 fib lands right smack in between of this level of support here, this green box that I have. So very interesting there. If we come down, let's actually take all this off and take a look at Ichimoku here on the daily chart. So this was pretty much exactly what I was hoping for to happen. We haven't gotten a golden cross yet. However, I do think that within the next couple days, if we do see some bullish momentum, that we'll be having a golden cross here, and that would probably be a bullish sign. People see these golden crosses both on the EMA, which I use, and on the regular MAs. I think on the MA it might be a little bit these lines might be a little bit further apart than that, but our 50 and our 100 here have already crossed, and that was due to prior price action, along with our 50 EMA climbing up as high as it did to come in to try and start touching this 200 EMA. So We did come down, and we touched our Tengen-sen line, and we almost touched our 200 EMA, and now we're using this this blue Tengen-sen line on our Ichimoku as support. So if these levels end up failing to hold and we don't see enough bullish volume coming into the market, or there's just too much supply up here in these areas from people trying to take profits, then if these levels don't hold, I would expect, going back to our Fibonacci analysis, I would expect certainly a retest of at least 8,000, which would be our 382. And if not, then somewhere in this area between 7,000 and what's the top of this cloud? 7,000, about 7,200, 7,300 or so in this area, I think would be a pretty standard target. I think that would be a pretty good area for us to be landing. There's a lot of confluence here with a lot of things. This 0.5 fib lines right up with our Kijun-sen line. It's also pretty much the bottom of this cloud that's hanging below us. So there's definitely a lot of support down here in this area. But for right now, we've got this range up here between 8,000 and about 8,500 that would need to fail before we start seeing those ranges. So I mentioned on Twitter a couple days ago that if we start seeing daily closes, which almost happened yesterday, if we start seeing daily closes that are below this 8,500 mark, I think that would be concern, or cause for a continued bearish trend here and a continuation of this turn to the downside. But all in all, with everything considered, this is a healthy move for Bitcoin. Normally, I don't like to see it happen that quickly and that dramatically, but it is Bitcoin. Those things happen all the time. And at the end of the day, when we take the weekly chart into account, we definitely had a lot of bullish momentum for the better part of 2 months. So, before coming into this drop. So I do think that it's a healthy thing for Bitcoin. I do think that we're probably just getting some kind of bounce here. Maybe we reject off like 9,200 and then continue further down for the halving. But right now, especially this morning, there's a lot of people taking opportunity of buying this dip. On our RSI up here, we are actually bouncing off of our 56 mark here. So that 56 mark, like I stated, is many times acts as support and resistance all the time. So I think we're getting some kind of bounce here. Maybe we retest, like I said, these lows, these prior highs of like 9,200 or so, and then potentially reject there and continue further to the downside, first breaking 8,500 and really going in and getting a test of 8,000 again. And if 8,000 doesn't hold, that's when I think that we would be continuing down to these between 7,000 and $7,200, $7,300 levels. On the 4-hour chart, if we do see a break of this and we see a 4-hour candle close above all of these levels, I would definitely start switching my bias over to being bullish on this. That would be a very bullish sign. These are very known levels of resistance when it comes to indicators and Ichimoku clouds. So if these levels ended up breaking and we saw the MACD start coming up back into bullish territory here, that would definitely be cause for me thinking that, okay, we're going to get a continuation of our upward trend, of our overall upward trend. We're starting to get up into areas of solid resistance here, and there is volume coming into the market here. You can tell on our chart here that we've got volume is starting to increase. All through here, just this chop. It's been relatively low volume. And now there's some volume starting to come into the market. These bars are above the 20 moving average on the volume chart, and we actually just got a close just now, right at or just above this 50 EMA line, and the price is pushing higher. So I would totally expect us to be coming up and testing this 200 MA. And somewhere in this cloud, there's a lot of levels in here. Our Kijun-sen, our 200, and our 100 EMA, along with the cloud. All of these levels are between 9,000 and about 9,100. That's a known area of resistance. I would totally expect these levels to be tested. We have not tested the 200 EMA since we broke down through it. We haven't tested the 50 EMA since we broke down through it. And we actually just made a candle close just above the 50 EMA just now on the 1 hour chart. All of our indicators are staying bullish on our lower time frame on this 1 hour, which is actually a good thing. All through here, we were actually seeing bullish divergence all through here. When we had this huge drop and we were still coming down, our EMA, our MACD had actually flipped over even through this downtrend, and we were starting to get some bullish momentum coming into the market here, even though we had this other pretty drastic, really ugly bearish 1 hour candle. We didn't fully see both lines come back into the bearish zone. We rebounded, and now we're just kind of using this median line on the MACD as solid support here. So I want to get into some fib analysis real quick on this lower time frame. If we actually take our most recent high down to our most recent low, let's see if we can find some areas of confluence, right? So we had this throw over. We tested our 113 again on this downside, tested our 382, and it was pretty much just like an algo battle here, right? So we were getting pulled down to the 113 and getting pulled up to the 382 levels. And we've got an area of confluence with our 236 level, so 23.6%. So now that we've actually managed to break above our 382 levels, I would basically be expecting, this lines up perfectly with the lines I had drawn before of that top of this range, right? So, right here at about 8,800, 8,650, oh, sorry, yeah, 88, about 8,860, 8,800 or so. That's kind of the level that I would be expecting to get retested and to hold before we start moving higher. Our next level is the 0.5 fib, which again, it sits right around that $9,000, $9,100 level. Up in here, this is going to be our next level of resistance. So a healthy retrace from this down move, if it was a perfect world, would be to, come up here, hit the 0.5, come down, retest the 382, and then continue upwards into our golden pocket, which also has confluence with the 113 of this overall move. So that's pretty much what I'm expecting on these time frames here, guys. I'm really looking forward to coming into the halving again. This is a very bullish channel that we've had, right? This is really bearish or bullish, I'm sorry. If we measure something like this, we had a throw over of the top here, and re-enter the channel. We didn't exactly touch the bottom, and now we're breaking above this midline of the channel. So, overall, this is still bullish. That's pretty much what I see happening. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you check out all of the links down below for my Twitter, my Medium. I do a lot of educational articles there and all of that stuff. Make sure that you're liking and subscribing to the channel for your weekly updates here on this. And pretty soon, I'm actually also going to be starting a separate section of my YouTube that I'm going to start doing product reviews. So for everybody else that, if you're a gamer, if you're a streamer, if you do technical analysis and stuff like that, I'm going to start upgrading all of the stuff that I have in my own setup and my own office. And I figured I'm going to start setting up a little staging area where I can start doing unboxing and reviews of the physical products that I will be using. So they might be of some use to you. If you use microphones and you like monitor speakers, keyboards, mice, all of that stuff, I'm going to slowly start upgrading peripherals and, audio equipment and stuff like that for my actual setup here at home. So I'll be doing reviews and unboxing and stuff of all of that stuff. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And until next time, this is Cobra Trading signing off. Happy trading.